Hey, um, one moment. Hey, sorry if I look a little teary-eyed. Wow, immediately create an intro and then immediately ignore it. That's the general plan here. Here, I'm just trying some things. Anyways, I'm Ozma in the Dark, here streaming for you lovely people. Utilizing she, they pronouns because I want to. And I'm hating my green screen setup at the moment. One moment. Let me just alter that. Oh, also I'm wearing a blue shirt with some sort of yellow technological device on it. With the starry background. Or, I'm not wearing the starry background. But there is a starry background. Hey. Anyways, YouTube is mad today. Are you okay? Yes, I just, so here's the dealio. I am an obsessive Arcane fangirl, and as an obsessive Arcane fangirl, I, constantly watch. I don't have a way of accessing Netflix, and I think I've only watched the show. Parts of the show I've watched twice, but the last 3 episodes I only watched once. So instead, I watch other people go through the trauma that is Arcane. And I thought I had a little bit more time, but I didn't. And also, I stopped taking sertraline, so it's a lot easier for me to end up crying. So just assume that, not that I'm crying all the time, just most of the time, all the time. You know what? I'm gonna also do something else. Da, 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 da. Yeah, so even if it's something like this. Okay. That was pictures for something else. Nope, I don't mean to do filters. I'm immediately thinking of random stuff. Don't mind me. It's just that it was in Inktober, and so I tried to catch back up on Inktober, so I have a couple drawings I just wanted to, I realized I could just have them in the background. I'm gonna draw day 3 after stream. Since it's not stream day, I'll probably draw an Inktober picture for tomorrow at some point. In my opinion, that one's the worst one. I can just maybe move this a little bit over. I just wanted to have those in the background in case I wanted to have them in the background. I can words. Let's just make these a little bit bigger. Yeah. I know, this is just like a random thing that I last minute decided I want to do instead of my logo at the moment. But that being said, we are back to the my own personal trauma, which is the green screen effect because I never fix it. No, it's to fix the green screen, I have to fold up my bed some. And I tried to do that earlier, but then I realized, oh wait, beds are heavy. And so I had some difficulty. So, I don't remember what I talked about last week. My notes, according to man, sometimes I don't take good notes. Second note, I'm starting to get anti-evolution vibes, and I'm not comfortable with this. Third note for chapter 1, doesn't seem to understand evolution. Fourth note, F you, bitch. F you, bitch. She frames a passage originating from the Torah, calling it the Jewish Bible, and then pulling tons of Christian stuff that's not believed by most rabbis. Oh yeah, maybe I blanked it out of rage. Actually, I should swap notes and, the file, because people should be able to see the file better than the notes. A little bit bigger, maybe. Anyways. And then, oh yeah, she does the whole talk about functionalism. The sociological thing. I was trying to figure out what she meant by her usage of the word functionalism, since she deals largely with philosophy and religion, so I can't tell. Page 29. There's so many subchapters in each chapter. It's a weird way to set up a novel. I think J.K. Rowling does a similar thing. That was one of the complaints about the novel that J.K. Rowling wrote. Was stuff like this, where the prologue is, like, way too long. Anyways, part 2 of chapter 1, this godforsaken book. According to woman, the origins of yin affection. So, yin affection, I think, is just a broad sense, relationships of women with each other, and she means it in the broadest overarching sense, but also politics. And also, oh yeah, yin affection is not only a loving relationship between two or more women, it is a freely chosen bond which, when chosen, involves a certain reciprocal assurances based on honor, loyalty, and affection, which I wrote as a red flag, demanding a return for your social investment. Very transactional friendship setup. Also, it gives off creepy abuse vibes, which is probably why I said it was a red flag. Because usually with stuff like that, I mean, it's not inherently abuse, because you can have a transactional friendship, but usually that's a more distant friendship because you're not. Yeah, I don't like it. Anyways, genealogy of female friendship. The lineage of women who have been and are primary to each other tells a different story. It is the lineage of women who have been and are primary. Is it lineage of women who have been and are primary to each other? That was basically the same sentence twice in a row. The genealogy of female friendship, the lineage of women who have been and are primary to each other. It is the lineage of women who have been and are primary to each other. There's not even like differentiation here. It's just her being repetitive, which is usually more effective if you're trying to change people's positions to your position. As opposed to just merely speaking your thoughts. I use the word primary in both its descriptive and measured sense. Wait, that... Mary... I'm not sure what she's talking about. Definition of primary, first in the order of time or development, of a rank, importance, and value, overlaid. Resulting from the substitution of two or more atom groups in a molecule. I don't... Is this like a context thing? Is this like a turn of phrase that I haven't used before because I wasn't raised Catholic? And measured sense. Oh wait, let me quote it. This is some posh stuff. Nope, the first thing that shows up if I quote it is this book. So I don't think there's a way I'm gonna be able to find it. She means oh. I jumped the gun. She explains what she means by descriptive. In its descriptive sense, primary means... I'm sorry, what? Primary, in her mind, means momentous, prominent... I can't spell. Remarkable, never to be forgotten, stirring, critical, vital, and essential. I don't think the average person uses primary to even describe all of that. It characterizes friendships that are original and independent, as well as fundamental and radical. I'm sorry, this is just a string of words. I'm still gonna copy that part. But this is so much word salad. This is like essentially like saying it's not Catholic. Yeah, no, I got that impression after reading the number of words. I think it's a way for her to use primary to make something sound important and attach as many meanings as possible so that she can say, oh, she meant that. Because she doesn't seem to be yeah. And she also didn't describe the measured sense. So I'm just gonna say, and whatever the measured sense of the word primary is by her bizarre definition, or redefined version of you know by I'm just gonna say by the definitions she uses. Okay, why can't I spell definitions? Why am I failing at basic English? Is it because I don't write enough? Is this the reason? No. Oh. No, it's just a regular typo. It's throwing me off so much. So she says the genealogy of female friendship is also the story of women who have interpreted the word primary in a more measured sense. Oh, she is going to the measured sense. That is, friendships of women who are marked by a judgment of due proportion, what is due to women. In this measured sense, when women who are primary to one another put each other first in the order of importance, first in claims of attention, affection, and activity, first in not allowing men to interfere with or encroach on female friendship, first meaning first rate, or that which shapes the finest fabric of female existence, and first in the sense of repossessing the memory of an original attraction to women that belongs to the initial state of effective growth and development. But that implies some sort of inherent quality, which she suggests there isn't an inherent quality of this. She uses words in the weirdest ways, and not like, so like it's one thing to redefine things in a way that makes sense to you. That's fine. But usually in most of those circumstances, you don't just throw a million different random words. Usually. Sometimes, I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking things. The ways in which women have put each other first are quite diverse. I mean, if you make the definition of primary as broad as you have, I'm sure that's the case. Repeatedly, however, many women have made their true selves and other women primary, where they are lesbians, heterosexual, or celibate, sorry. This primary, but she also says it's choice, and she also says being a lesbian is the best choice. I'm not even gonna try to understand her thought processes anymore. It's likely just some sort of abusive stuff where she wants to manipulate people. I'm assuming, based off of the tactics that are used, based off of the red flags. A lot of the way she talks about things is set up in a way for her to say, "You're not doing enough for me," and point out everything she does for you. To say you owe her something. You owe her attention in this circumstance. You owe her this. You owe her that. It is a particular abusive tactic that I've seen a lot in my life, partially because I am relatively easy to abuse. This primariness, well, I'm trying not to be. That's why I have obsessively looked up stuff as well, but I'm not an expert on all of that. Anyways, this primariness is exemplified in the existence of black women's clubs. Founded in the 19th century, the black women's clubs, particularly in their initial generation of club members, were composed of quote-unquote race women, whose primary commitment was to end racial oppression through a strong black woman-identified commitment. The Women's Era, a 19th century black women's publication, made this remarkable statement in 1894 about the clubs. Clubs will make girls think seriously of their future lives and not make women think their only alternative is to marry. I mean, that's an aspect of feminism that occurs and that people can agree with. Equality, autonomy, and more opportunity. Anyways, 1/4 of the 108 club women profiled in Paula Giddings' study on the impact of black women on race and sex in America never married. Many of the most dynamic club members married relatively late. Among them, Mary Church Terrell and Ida Wells Barnett, and only 1/4 of the women profiled in Giddings' study had children. Okay, marriage isn't like the only goal or whatever. Anyways, there have been several interpretations why, for example, the club women married late. Giddings suggested that because some of them held traditional views of marriage, they believed that women should quote unquote never neglect home and husband and children to enter professional life or to further any public cause, however worthy. Thus, they put off marriage until they could give their undivided attention to their duties as wives and mothers, and to what society expected of them as women. However, one could put a different twist on this interpretation by saying that they married late because they put women first in the chronology of commitment to their lifespan. There's a lot of reasons for marrying late. And especially, not everyone puts an importance on marriage, so people can end up in relationships that are very healthy relationships, and comforting. And then if you factor in slavery, or not slavery, because it's late 1800s, but a lot of stuff which is still happening today where black people get arrested for minor things. Some of them could have married late due to their boyfriend ending up in prison because white police are the worst in the late 1800s. The late 1800s was like around the time, it was not too long before the resurgence of the KKK, so Yeah. Anyways. Because it was big and then it dropped off for a little bit and then it got big again. At some point before, maybe it was the 1910s. Anyways, I'm not. Sorry, my memory of the history of that is spotty at best. Their women's, thus they married only after they had accomplished their chosen work for women. Their women's work came first, in order of both age and their priorities. I mean, activism is like a major... Activism is a job. It might be a side hustle for some. It might be full-time work for others. It's totally understandable if you are hardcore working on any activist project that sometimes your personal life gets delayed, and if you put too much work into it and ignore your personal life, sometimes you can end up in unhappy situations. Not to say that that was the majority of what happened here. It's just one of those things where it is work. Anyways, further, some club women, such as Ida Wells Barnett, after stating their intentions to retire from club work to devote full-time to families, lasted only several months in marital quote-unquote retirement. Even some of the more socially and politically conservative club women, such as Margaret Murray Washington, were skeptical about the quote-unquote joys of motherhood. Of greater significance is the fact that over 1/4 of women in Giddings' study exercised their freedom never to marry. Look, if we're talking about activism, LGBTQ people are often forced in a position where it's activism or their life is at greater risk. So it wouldn't surprise me if 1/4 of the members of that club were LGBTQ. Hey, Tubby Wolf, let me make you a mod of this as well. You deserve modship. There you go. Yeah, I am trying to go through this. It's just very... It's a very different way that this person looks at reality, and also I'm pretty sure this person creates definitions for words such that she can never be wrong in her usage of them. I mean, she's defined primary as momentous, prominent, remarkable, never to be forgotten, stirring, critical, vital, and essential. Along with... Because she says that's a descriptive sense. So on top of that, primary in the whatever other sense, in the measured sense, women who are primary to one another put each other first in order of importance, first in claims of attention, affection, and activity. Which even if you're in like a healthy relationship, you're not you're probably going to be more likely to put your partner first in that stuff, but not in every aspect of that. Oh, it's a Passion for Friends. It's a book by Janice Raymond, which I did not pay for. And Janice Raymond wrote 2 books that I'm interested in. A lot of this reading is related to major thought processes of the quote-unquote gender crits. So this is a gender crit book, and by like I said, one of the major proponents that moved a lot of that thought processes down the line. Yeah. So Janice Raymond is a former Catholic nun. And there's a lot of Catholicism in aspects of this, but also I think I postulated that she might be applying everything everything relating to men as evil and everything relating to women as good. And if women do something that men do, then it's because they're being manipulated by men or something like that. And she also says that lesbianism is a choice. But like the next book, this is going to be the build-up book for me, because I want to understand Miss Raymond's thought process, because the other book is the transsexual empire rise of the she-male. So like I feel like I need context of her thought process before I go through the book where she promotes eugenics of anyone trans. And I realize the other one is earlier, I think. I'm pretty sure the Transsexual Empire Rise of the She-Male is her earlier book, but like there's so much here that I feel like is important for understanding where the hell she's coming from. And it is long, it is repetitive. This okay. Okay, I'm at the end of page 29. So at the beginning of this page, it starts off with genealogy of female friendship, the lineage of women who have been and are primary to each other, tells a different story. It is the lineage of women who have been and are primary to each other. 2 sentences. First 2 sentences have that entire phrase. Like, this is a standard part of TERF rhetoric, promoting the idea that anyone AMAB, including all cisgender men, are inherently violent and dangerous due to biology. Yeah, but she also believes that no one is biologically a lesbian or gay. I think she believes everyone's born default straight. Or at least I get the impression that she does, because she isn't... that tends to be the way she's framing things. And that's also in TERF rhetoric. I want to understand TERFs so I know what to say. Anyways, another example of women who put each other first is... By the way, I take breaks after each chapter. Oh yay, political lesbians, yes. Well, she has this thing called gin affection, which is essentially women in relationships with each other, but also adds political relationships and also like any sort of relationship. And also women have to only focus on women and can't really have to mostly ignore men. Anyways, another example of women who put each other first is the phenomenon of professional lineage, quote-unquote professional lineage, set up by some of the first generation of women scientists in the United States. In her book, Women Scientists in America, Margaret Rossiter chronicles a system established by female scientists at women's colleges through which they served as mentors to particular women students, supervised their selection of graduate schools, followed their progress closely, and arranged that their own colleges hire them as junior colleagues. In time, the protégés would assume the status of faculty mentors and follow the same process of identifying and promoting other female successors. So that's not surprising. That is what people do in marginalized groups. They try to build, or a lot of people try to build other people up. That's generally a thought process. That's not so much that is a specific type of political action that's common and beneficial. It's just I don't know that saying that it wouldn't factor into her it wouldn't necessarily factor into her thought process of yin affection or whatever. More like an affection for Jin, am I right? Anyways, some of these protege chains lasted for several generations and helped establish a national reputation for the science department involved. They also influenced many undergraduate women to study science. For example, until 1932, the professors of astronomy at Vassar College were all students and grand students of Maria Mitchell, the astronomer who had been appointed at Vassar in 1865. Susan Bowen and Cornelia Clapp originated a line of zoologists at Mount Holyoke College that lasted from 1870 until at least 1961. She seems to assume all people are compelled to physically procreate, which entails compet. Yeah, I mean that does seem to be the general assumption, and yeah, these chains also were. It wouldn't surprise me if these chains of people, I haven't looked them up, but it wouldn't surprise me if these are all rich white women, because that's a problem with some aspects of white feminism. But that's another story. That relates. Anyways, in completing her portrayal of this quote-unquote professional lineage, Rossiter describes how the senior scientist, confident in her successor, would retire to a cottage on campus with a sister or another colleague. A hall or laboratory would be named for her, and when she died, her protege would write her obituary. Okay, that does not sound like a protege. Whiteness is a big part of this, yet. That does not sound like a protege. That sounds like more than a protege. And yes, it could be a very strong platonic friendship about, retiring to campus to live with someone you're very close to, and you want them to write your obituary. I'm just saying, I think that I get the impression that she sometimes discounts certain aspects of lesbians existing. Anyways, but you build these emotional relationships to fulfill emotional gaps. They were roommates. Yes, they were roommates. I think I need a clip of that to add to this or streams or something. Sisters, sure not in Christ. Yeah, so the origins of female friendship are in female freedom, an important subject of which is the freedom to be for women. It is important to a genealogy of female friendship that women claim this freedom to be primary to our true selves. When she uses selves capitalized, she means sort of like true selves. That's why the prologue took forever, because I had to figure out what she was talking about, because she utilizes so many she creates interesting analogies, and each other in some way. The ways in which these primary aspects are increased and intensified enhance the originality of female friendship. A genealogy of female friendship reveals the many ways in which women have been primary to our true selves and other women. Honestly, true selves does kind of sum it up. She didn't need to create a whole separate definition just to say true selves. like it's 2 words. It's not, you don't need to shorten that to 1 word and add like a bunch of extra stuff to make it sound like you made some sort of profound version of that. Anyways, the origins of female friendship are also in female culture. Female culture is past, present, and ongoing, and thus the origins of female friendship are not confined to any static original state or golden age of gin affection. As I noted in the introduction, the vitality of women's otherness is grounded in the culture that women have created with and for each other throughout history and in cultures. Okay, but that... she's essentially saying that there is an ideal way to be a woman, and also that ideal could be anything. Yeah, no, that's not... I'm gonna quote it just so I can, if I have to go over it again. That's the impression I get from that useless paragraph, because a lot of this is just obfuscation, in my opinion. The word culture has several senses: social, intellectual, and artistic. She's going to make a different version of the word culture. I can feel it. I can see it happening. I hate this. Etymologically, oh. The average person understands the broad definition of what culture means. You don't need to write a paragraph describing what you mean by it unless you're trying to use it in an atypical way, or if you tend to use it in an atypical way. But anyways, etymologically, it comes from the Latin cultura, meaning to cultivate the soil. From prehistory, women were the original cultivators of soil. We don't actually know that for sure, but it's been hypothesized, but we don't have any strong theories about prehistory. Given that it's prehistory, so all we have to work on are drawings, and drawings aren't always correct. Anyways, and this is an apt metaphor for representing many of women's cultural pursuits and products. Thus, we have women also as the cultivators of the social group, that is, of society, as hypothesized in some of the theories about early matriarchies that credit women with bringing people together into groups. Does her definition include anything outside of a white view of culture? Well, she tends to view everything good coming as being created by women, and anything bad as being created by men and promoted by men. Whereas anything good is you know, the essence of what it means to be a woman. That's sort of the way she's been framing a lot of that, and so it's her own special definition. I mean, yeah, I mean, she also has a very white view of culture, I'm sure. But and says women created society. Plenty of theories, little evidence of female agriculture. Well, we can't. There's no way we can get definitive proof of something that happened in, 20,000 BCE. Like, we're not going to get that information. We can estimate, we can make educated guesses, but that's about as far as we can go. She says women create society. I presume to then say men tainted society with their evils. Sorry, she's been going on about men being evil, women being good type thing. Women as cultivators of the mind, spawning a female culture of thinking that included early science, mathematics, and philosophy. And women as cultivators of the arts, weaving, pottery, and painting. Ultimately, in the evolution of its usage and its modern development, culture came to mean the whole way of life, material, intellectual, and spiritual of a given society. Okay, but wait. This is just... I just need to quote this because this is so... This is essentially saying women created white Catholic is all good culture, all good quote unquote culture. Well, it's this bizarre thing where she's saying, don't listen to anything that men teach, but because that's the culture of men. But now she's going around and saying women created everything in culture. So doesn't that mean that there is essentially... Doesn't that essentially mean that women should pay attention to all this stuff? Because ultimately it's based on what women do. And also she has a problem with listening to philosophers who are men, but then in each chapter she quotes at least one man. It's this... the origins of female friendship are to be found in, quote unquote, the whole way of life, material, intellectual, and spiritual, that women have cultivated with each other. So, it's... Wait, so they're saying that women created all culture, but also that culture... She's assigning gender to actions without evidence. Yes, but she's also... AMAB people are subject to base drives, so can't really think rationally. Maybe. So she's essentially saying all culture is created by women, but also all current culture is created by men. But if the structure is created by women... Like, I don't understand what she's trying to say here, because it's so contrary that... Anyways, a genealogy of kin affection lays claim to this quote-unquote whole way of life, which for many women has represented an attempt to think in new ways about women's social, moral, and intellectual life. As the modern meaning of culture has given high valuation to a particular people's specific traditions, so too does genealogy of female friendship. It puts a premium on women's cultural specificity, that is, women's commonalities and women's distinctive ways of being for each other across a diversity of ethnic, racial, and national boundaries. There's a lot of different cultures of women where women have a wide variety of roles. There are matriarchies still in society. There are collectives where men and women work together a lot, and people of any gender in that society. Like, there's a lot of working together. It's not. I suspect that she has not looked into a lot of different ethnic views, or the views of other people. I don't know. Anyways, she continues, as any cultural tradition cannot be assimilated by a simple and unilinear idea of civilization, neither can the culture of female friendships be absorbed by more Catholic ideas of friendship in general. This is reminding me of the universal goddess cult that a bunch of writers in the late 1800s and early 1900s Europe were convinced was a historical thing. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the universal goddess cult. I might have to look that up later. You know what? Let me take notes. I'm adding that to my notes. Or cult. I said club. No, cult and club are different. Women built structures so men could be satisfied enough to perfect culture modern. Most of those authors, men. This is a shock. Anyways, neither can the culture of female friendship be absorbed by more Catholic ideas of friendship in general. This is where I go, what? Is a Catholic idea of friendship. I may need help with that. The culture of female friendship has a distinctive purpose, passion, and politics. That's where she continues. She says female friendship has a distinct purpose, passion, and politics. She doesn't understand how women can be friends and not be lesbians, and she doesn't understand that, how women can want to date men and also do their best to do the weird gin affection thing that she's talking about here. Its origins are to be found in those spheres where women were and are free to be each other, and where women provide women with a sense of difference, importance, autonomy, and affection. What does she mean? Where women provide women... What does women provide women... Dear God, the way she writes... Slowly just eating away at my brain. I can understand why I blanked out with last week's stuff. A lot of it was rage at her calling stuff from the Torah the Jewish Bible, which is the most Christian fucking thing to do. What? A lot of this is going to be what? I may have to actually try to understand those notes. In its attempts to subdue a particular people, basically they posited the idea that before Christianity in Europe, there was a singular cult of worshipping a vague goddess within a matriarchy. The idea depended on ignoring the diversity of religion in Europe's history. Okay, I'm gonna copy what you... I'm copying what you wrote in this. Notes. Helpful notes from Tabby. Want to make sure to credit you. Nah, no. Look up stuff like Robert Graves, the White Goddess. Robert. Why do I already hate the book from that title, The White Goddess? God, that sounds so white savior. Okay, link. Oh, that's a link to the Cult of the Mother Goddess. Okay, I'm gonna add that. Text wrench added this. At least Graves has absinthe. Fair. Anyways, in its attempts to subdue a particular people, one of the most destructive weapons of colonialism was to extinguish a group's cultural traditions. I mean, yes. That I will admit, colonialism did do its best to try to destroy groups' cultural traditions. Often this was done in an abruptly violent way, as when a people's symbols, artifacts, creations, beliefs, and history were outright obliterated. Well, some of them were outright obliterated. Some of them were just broken apart and sent to queens and temples, where they're stored away in basements for no one to see. Oh, it's this pretty art from this place. Anyways, more often it was done over a long period of time, during which this same set of cultural specifics was erased at an evolutionary pace. She doesn't understand evolution. Evolutionary pace is millions of years. As women remember and recreate the culture of kin affection in our lives, we become firstborn to our true selves and each other. God, this is sounding like a cult. Oh, maybe this is like just an evolution of the cult of the universal goddess cult. It is a cult. Yeah, no, this is genuinely sounding like that. talking about firstborn stuff. One way in which men have distorted and dismembered women's origins with each other is by institutionalizing a system of primogeniture, in which not only is the firstborn son considered the recognized and rewarded heir to the kingdom of the father, but the father-son relationship itself is shored up as the model for important relations between men. Patriarchal primogeniture. Okay, I'm just gonna. Primogeniture. Look, I'm leaving that note short because, yeah. Patriarchal primogeniture is a strategy for bolstering the traditions of homo relations in which all sorts of fathers bequeaths to all sorts of sons the keys to their kingdoms. So only the rich and powerful in Europe, patriarchal primogeniture renders invisible not only firstborn daughters, but the mother-daughter relationship as well. This potentially ineffective bond is deprived of its power to serve as an archetype for a succession of women's affinities with women. Instead, women are taught to disavow their affection for women. Disown love for women is like disinherited daughters. Only men become the recognized and rewarded beneficiaries of female affection. So the problem is this primogeniture. I keep saying primogeniture. Seems to be something specifically related to nobles and royalty. And that's a sense of that's not something that empowers men specifically. It empowers certain men to have a familial line, so they feel like they're eternally in power. Anyways, men have inherited the earth and its man-made kingdoms of money, education, and money, education, professional prestige, and political power. Men have also inherited, by virtue of having been born male, the quote-unquote right to women's affection. Female friendship can give back the right to primogeniture to women by establishing the firstness among our true selves. Women who are primary to ourselves and to other women are saying that we do exist, that we have a memory of our effective origins, and that we will inherit the earth beginning with our lost affection for our original true selves and for one another. Yeah, no, that... primogeniture, meaning the firstborn inherits all the wealth of his parents. Yeah, and specifically she's only focusing on firstborn men, which is a very royalty-related thing, and I almost tried to save OBS when I was, actually trying to save the thing. Also, hi, Rebecca. How's it going? Here we go. The meaning and importance of the search for origins. Now, Tavi has posted some stuff about this this particular famous gender critical thing, and and possibly all gender critical thought processes to relate to the universal goddess cult, which is this whole thing made by men, which is the idea that Christianity in Europe, there was a singular cult of worshipping a vague goddess within a matriarchy, and the idea depended on ignoring the diversity of religion in Europe's history, and also it would involve the ignoring, obviously, of other people. Hi, how are you holding up? Props to you for sticking to this monumental task. Well, I have taken breaks. I took a break after the prologue, and after this chapter, I'm going to take another break because each of these chapters have sub-chapters. Like, this is still chapter 1. This is the third sub-chapter in chapter 1. I don't think... Oh, yeah, also, since you're here... You get a wrench, and you get a wrench, and you get a wrench. The meaning and importance of the search for origins. The origins of female friendship are the origins of radical feminism. That's a strange... That is a statement to make. Well, I mean, like... You know, people who I trust get the wrench. Yeah, no problem. I need to give more people wrenches here in general, I think. But yeah, until women claim and acknowledge original affection among ourselves, feminism will lack what the philosopher Henry Bergson... Is this another guy she's referencing? More of that idea is a white European thing that erases diversity of cultures, and I wonder if that ahistorical idea is part of the whiteness within gender critical's ahistorical ideas. Yeah, no, given their prevalence to side with a lot of Euro-fascist stuff, it would not surprise me if that the commonality of that helped them feel connected. Sorry, wait, was this person French? Yeah, Henri Bergson. My bad. I apologize for mispronouncing this person's name. French philosopher. He argued that we must allow space for free will to unfold in an autonomous, unpredictable fashion. Intuitionism? Oh, dear Lord. Argues that one can only grasp it through intuition. Oh, that's not good. Oh, Catholic friendship, thank you, context wrench. Yeah, I'll have to do reading later. So, Henri Bergson called an original impetus of life un élan original de la vie. That is, an original impetus of its own life, feminist vitality. Did she even describe what feminist vitality means? Anyways, when women cease believing in the primacy and primordiality of hetero relations, they will see that the first goal of feminism is not to bring women and men together, but to bring women together. Oh yeah, she's very exclusionary in her thought process. I know trans exclusionary radical feminist would be an exclusionary. I know this is a shock. Female friendship is the process by which this goal is achieved. And that process begins at the beginning, when women were proud and their relationships with women, where women are still proud. The primary meaning of origin in the Oxford English Dictionary is the act of arising, derivation. Yeah, I know what the meaning of origin is. Dear God. The fact of springing from some particular ancestor or race. In addition to a commonality of oppression, women have an ancestry of gin affection. If you missed me mention it earlier, gin affection seems to be put women first, broad version of relationship, but also a political stance of some sort that is for women specifically. Anyways, a common ancestry of survival, strength, and pride in each other. Another definition of the word origin comes from mathematics, where it means a fixed point from which motion commences. Okay. The origins of female friendship are found where women have been fixed points for other women's movements. Oh my god, this is so... Women have turned to female relatives or friends, often at critical life moments, and found stable sources of strength. Very often, this strength becomes their encouragement to move on. Oh no. I saw the word the Holocaust in there, and I'm about to get cringe. But yeah, that was two paragraphs. Two paragraphs of absolutely nothing that provided no useful additional information. Anyways, in an original and moving undergraduate senior thesis entitled "The Voices of Women Surviving the Holocaust, Women and Resistance," Deborah Seidman shows how the reality of the resistance was profoundly grounded in the relationships among women in the death camps. No! Everybody resisted the death camps. Everybody resisted the concentration camps. Jews, Romani, disabled people. I mean, disabled people were killed first, largely. Anyone LGBTQ, all put into those camps and all fighting with each other, or fighting together to try to survive because they had a common goal: to not die. She quotes Isabella Leitner, and by the way, her conclusions based on this author's conclusions based on these books are not necessarily conclusions of the authors of the books referenced, by the way. I don't know this person. Also, people were separated by gender in those camps. Yeah. Deborah Seidman, she quotes Isabella Leitner's memoir of Auschwitz, where the author and her 3 blood sisters were incarcerated. Leitner described how they enabled each other's survival. I'm not going to read this because yes, people do this. In dangerous situations, people bond with each other to try to survive. That's a common thing that every human being does. This is not exclusive to any gender. This isn't a gendered thing. Everybody does this. This happens in prisons. This happened in Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad was a bunch of people working together to try to escape something, and that wasn't because of gender. A lot of people worked together. Harriet Tubman being the major person and a person who should be remembered more by society. But you know what I mean? It wasn't just one person, and it wasn't simple, and yeah. Anyways, as the war was ending, the Nazis evacuated the camps and forced prisoners to march through the frigid winter terrain of Germany and Poland with hardly any food or protective clothing. Disabled people were genocided in a separate earlier event called Action T4. Yes. So not sure how many were put in the camps that initially were work camps prior to the mass killings. Well, because disability is a broad term. That's by the way, that's part of the reason why I phrased it that way. Yeah, T4 killed a lot of the people, disabled people who they didn't think could work in those camps. Disabled people who they didn't think could work in that camps, yeah, those were killed by T4. And some were, there were a lot of disabled people who were killed first in death camps, for similar reasons. Because a lot of it was based on ability to work in the work camps. And also, so the Nazis didn't evacuate everybody. So part of the Nazis evacuated people, yes, to work in work camps, but that depended on how much time they had. So depending on area, depending on time period. But yes, Nazis obviously did this. There are books about their I can't remember the famous one that most people have read. But yeah, it was on these marches that one of the four sisters died. Those who saw her before she died recounted that she said, "My sisters, they have escaped. May the gods be with them and help them every step of the way." Yeah, I would say that about anyone I was close to when escaping a death camp. Anyways, much of Seidman's work depicts the force and of such womanist bonds that existed not only among and between blood sisters, but with many women who had common ancestry of helping each other survive and who were each other's quote-unquote fixed points of existence. This happened. There are aspects of that in others, in stories of men, too, who went through the Holocaust. The Holocaust was a horrible thing that happened to a lot of people. And I don't think if this is a historical thing from if this is Seidman writing her own experience, she probably isn't making those sort of strange exclusivist arguments. Yeah, in the camps, women were terrorized by having to witness other women's torture helplessly. Yes, and in the camps with men were terrorized by having to witness other men being tortured helplessly. And trans people were likely killed off and pretend they didn't exist. Anyways, as Seidman adds, it is not that women helped each other and men didn't, but that women's experiences in the camps was inextricably bound up to the fact that they are women. Yeah, I mean, that's not an untrue statement. It's just because when you have commonality, you look for the obvious commonality in your experience. and because there were Jews, Romani, political prisoners, LGBTQ people, the one common if you're in a segregated thing, the one commonality is usually going to be gender. Usually, not always, but usually. Well, gender and race are and disability are the three most common things that people can more broaden acceptance, and it depends on the circumstance. But yeah, oh yeah, there's probably a lot the talk about rape, because yeah. Anyways, Elie Wiesel, who has become a spokesperson for survivors, has said that after Auschwitz, literature, friendship, and hope are no longer possible. From her research on female survivors, Seidman notes that women tell a different story, although their accounts portray the full horrors of the camp atrocities in general. I mean, I'm not... Like, it's not like any of that stuff's disagreeable. It's just she's come to a very atypical ultimate solution, or not ultimate solution, ultimate viewpoint based off of it. Because I have a quote from Elie Wiesel, because I obsessively wrote quotes down. Something about love, probably. Sorry, it's one of those things where the name was brought up. Elie Wiesel. Wait, so oh, there we go. Indifference to me is the epitome of evil. The opposite of love is not hate; it's indifference. Blah blah blah. But like the yeah, it doesn't really apply to this. Anyways, in her moving book, The Color Purple, Alice Walker depicts another relationship between blood sisters in which they are fixed points for one another. Their gin affection means survival for the younger sister, Nettie. Like I said, she uses gin affection to broadly put the broad sense of relationship with other stuff. Anyways, when the older sister, Celie, realizes that her stepfather, who has raped and forced pregnancy on her, has similar designs on her little sister Nettie, she vows to take care of her with God's help. I ask him to take me instead of Nettie. Eventually, Nettie leaves the household with Celie. Forced to separate from her by Celie's husband, she then moves to Africa. Helps us. What's this point? Oh, it's more. Hey, this is the Color Purple shows the magic of women's friendship if it's focused on women and not men. Oh my god. I skimmed past that one just because it was another nothing chapter. Anyway, so the Orchard of Female Friendship reveal original women. It should be clear from the context of the work, but to reiterate in one's place and direct terms, the phrase original woman is not used in any static, ontological, or historical sense, nor does it ground women's friendships in any biological base. The term original women create their own originality. Such originality is continually developing state of being and not something a woman achieves all at once in some feminist moment of truth. Which means original woman... The Color Purple is a bleak story. So she doesn't believe that original woman is something which can be defined in any meaningful way. Yeah. An original woman charts her own beginnings from the deepest recess of her true self and other women. She stands throughout history as the antithesis to the man-made females of patriarchal creation. As an original woman, she seizes the power to originate. The social construction of reality has been, quote-unquote, caused by men, who see themselves as bringing female life and love into existence. The power of men to originate all things has been a primary act of patrogenesis that has resulted in man naming himself as the creator of women's affections, which has then grounded in himself. To do this, however, a man had to fabricate his own myths of female origins and his own creation stories. He had to dismember woman's memory and even her desire to remember her origins of her true self and her attraction to others like her true self. Thus, as Anne Dellenbaugh has pointed out, man's creation of woman was hardly creative, it was disintegrative. That is, it disintegrated women's original selfhood and women's origins with other women. The most disintegrating effect of man's fabrication of woman has been the erosion of female integrity. I have written somewhere of the original integrity, meaning pre-socialized potential for female true self creation unsubjugated to the fat artifacts of sex role stereotyping and man-made roles that I would now call heteroreality, basically toxic masculinity. Better explains that, but she calls it heteroreality. There are aspects of what she says which are things that occur, but she came to a typical conclusion to some of it. Anyways, man's quote-unquote original sin, if you will, has been the defilement of the original woman and her origins with other women. Thus, skin affection, which is an original act, has become the most taboo of all female actions. In turn, women complicity, her quote-unquote original sin, has been the denial of her origins and the denial of her friendship for other women. I brought it up earlier, but she basically doesn't factor in Lilith, and because she's Catholic, naturally she doesn't factor in the Jewish perspective that, I mean, a lot of rabbis, at least the ones worth their salt, do not consider God to have a gender because both men and women were created by God in God's image. Thus, God can't be a man or a woman. That's a general decent number of rabbis' view of Genesis creation. So, and that's why the later story of Lilith, to explain this, because Eve was created from Adam's rib, but God created men and women at the same time. So Lilith, like, the time periods don't match up. So Lilith was before that. Oh, snap. Good to know some rabbis have a good take about that. Yeah, I mean, it could just be me being skewed because I was raised Reform Jewish. But I'm pretty sure I've looked this up before. 'Cause, like, sorry, I was born and raised Reform Jewish by an openly lesbian rabbi, the first in America. So, that may be a factor for some of my views, but I'm pretty sure I have also seen other more traditional rabbis have a similar opinion before when reading through that. Because it's maybe not certain Orthodox rabbis. Ben Shapiro doesn't seem to follow most Jewish values, so that's another story. Shit, I lost my place. Come let's see her original sin. Okay, women must make an affection a primordial event that is of prime order in their lives. The separation of primordial to make its two constituent words sheds light on female friendship. Prime, meaning first, suggests a return by women to the ways from which they have always been primary in each other's lives. An affection as a continuing event of prime order begets a genealogy of women who are primary to each other in many ways mentioned earlier in this work. It's like she starts with legit oppression under patriarchy, skips over any analysis of whiteness or the privilege of white women, co-opts the stories of other oppressed women, and then goes on to create an original mythology from there. Yeah, that sounds about right. And also she points out that it's not biological, so it's a very some of her terms are very murky and don't have clear definitions, or at least they don't have concrete or inalienable, is that the right word? Anyways, definitions. They're very fluid, and they're very much can be molded to whatever, which is a cult-like behavior. And also, women should have primary focus on whoever they want to, even if that's nobody. Anyways, prime also means, oh god. Prime also means the most active, thriving, or successful stage of one's period of one's life. Possibly more added to primary? Question mark? So I'm putting it near primary because, like, she has added so much stuff to primary, and now she's tried to clarify prime. Anyways, women who are friends are thus in the prime of life, not allowing their true selves to be primed, in parentheses, coached, into all sorts of hetero relationships. Rather, these women recognize that the prime of their lives, that which is primarily original, active, and thriving, is to be found with other women. Women's history and literature are replete with examples of female friendships that have been prime of many women's lives. For example, Carol Smith Rosenberg's classic work of unearthed diaries and letters from 19th century women depict numbers of women who are clearly preferred the company of other roommates to that of their husbands. The not biological comes off as first insisting on a false idea of biology, then as a claim that biology is the origin of oppression. No, I think she's saying men inherently have a particular type of soul, which is an evil soul. And then women have a particular type of soul that's a good soul. And she doesn't really explain much more than that. And she doesn't have any distinction outside of men bad, women good. So it's very hard to take anything she writes seriously. I'm just checking the time because I have a phone call. Okay, we're almost at the end. Oh god. I forgot she references Foucault. I hate reading Foucault. Usually. Actually, I'm better at reading Foucault now. But I used to hate it more. Toni Morrison's Sula reveals a friendship between Nell and Sula. Nell and Sula. Okay, it's on Earth that wait. No, wait. Okay, this is the novel says that friendship supersedes marriage, but wait, is this a fictitious novel? Is she saying that? Yeah, it's a... Wait, is she saying a fictitious novel is true? It wouldn't surprise me. Anyways, Toni Morrison Sula reveals a friendship between Nell and Sula that Nell comes to recognize as the prime of her life. It was like getting the use of a black eye, having a cataract removed. Her old friend had come home, Sula, who made her laugh, who made her see old things with new eyes, in whose presence she felt clever, gentle, and a little raunchy. No, this just sounds like lesbianism. I'm sorry, you don't generally describe my experience with my random friend. I feel, clever, gentle, and raunchy. That's not... that sounds like there might be sexual attraction, or at the very least potentially romantic attraction. If you're describing your friendship as you having feelings of raunchiness with their presence. When they're around, you feel really raunchy for some reason. You can't figure out why. Anyways, Nell's statement at the end of the novel addresses itself even more to the primacy. That sounds gay? Yeah, it does. Nell's statement at the end of the novel addresses more primacy and prime of their relationship. All that time, I thought I was missing Jude, and the loss pressed down upon her chest and came up her throat. We were girls forever, together, she said, as though explaining something. Oh, Lord Sula, she cried. Girl, 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 the girl. In Little Women, the maternal and sororal world of the March girls is the prime of their lives. This world becomes disordered and disintegrated initially by the death of Beth, as Nina Auerbach points out, sets the context for the marital deaths of the remaining sisters and the demise of their prime order of kin affection. In mathematics, a prime number is... She brings up mathematics a lot in weird ways. In mathematics, a prime number is a positive integer that has no factor except itself and 1. Yes, that is what a prime number is. Congratulations, you passed basic math. Among numbers, it is uniquely indivisible, capable only of being divided by itself and 1. Yes and no. So it is only in you can't divide it by whole numbers and get a whole number. If you divide by whole numbers and you get a fraction, then if you can only divide by whole numbers outside of 1 and get a fraction, then it's not a prime number. But you can divide it. On a less literal level, one could say that it cannot be divided from itself. No, it can. Unless you're only focusing on grade school math. If we move from the context of numbers to the context of female friendship, women who are prime in each other's lives, let no man divide them. This is prime order. It is a female ordering of existence done by true self-order. Under hetero order, women have not been true self-ordered. Many women have led disordered lives, failing to put men in their proper place in relation to their true selves. Therefore, a most essential task of recovering the origins of female friendship is to restore prime order. Women must set in order an existence of our own making, which is our affections are true self-directed, and where we are truly prime to each other. The question of order is irrevocably linked to the question of origins, and the question of origins raises the most important issues of searching for the clues of kin affection. A genealogical method looks in the most unlikely places for evidence of female friendship. Surprisingly, hetero theory and the disciplines of hetero reality disclose many insights into the origins of female friendship. The question of history, more specifically metahistory, is a necessary beginning point. And that's going to be the... I'm going to guess she separates affection from attraction and those from physical release. I honestly have no idea. She has lumped so many things together that it's hard to tell. So, page 33. Foucault, this book. So that is going to be the end of this. These are just my Inktober drawings, which the day 1 Inktober drawing is the gargoyle right here, and then scattering. You can't really see the cockroaches super well, but cockroaches are scattering, and I was exploring adding texture to my artwork. Like very broad. I'm like, do I call what I do artwork? It's barely artwork. No. Obviously I am way better than I was in like shortly after high school, or even like 10 years ago. Even though there's a big gap. I've just been drawing a lot lately. Anyways, thank you for showing up. Oh wait, no, I had an ending line. Wait. There we go. But yeah, thank you all for being here, and be the person you want to be as much as you can, and be kind to yourself. You matter too, no matter what your brain says. Bye.